This is every secret update from Mechanical Mayhem. Now we have to start this video off with a banger. So the first thing that we have here is a brand new duplication glitch in LEGO Fortnite. In order to do this is extremely easy. Simply have one dynamic foundation placed down and then put a steering wheel on top of it. When you break that steering wheel, all of the items that are required for that steering wheel will duplicate. So I showed you I had nothing in my inventory. I built one steering wheel. After breaking it, I was then able to build two steering wheels. After breaking those two steering wheels, I'll now be able to build four of them and so on. Now, this glitch is only really good for getting plank, cord, and granite. Although a lot of those things are important to get, they're not as rare or as cool as duplicating. Obviously, frost pine, ruby, blast core, bright core, and items like that, but you can get an unlimited amount of these three items simply using this glitch. Now, the number one question will be, does this work with any other items that are inside of the new update? I did try with the powered wheels and the turnable wheels, and both of them, when it comes to your frost pine, does not duplicate. So this seems to only be a glitch with the driver's seat or the steering wheel. So regardless, you could still double all of those materials as you go on simply by using that trick. Now that glitch is just one of 10 secret updates that we're going to talk about in today's video. If this video gets 500 likes, I'll give away one Lego set bundle to a commenter down below. So make sure that you guys are not only subscribed, but hit that like button and comment down below. That way I can choose you as a winner if we hit our like goal. Now this was a hot fix that was just added into the game earlier today and didn't immediately drop with the update. At the bottom of the screen, we have a brand new UI for your chat log with your villagers. Now, this is very similar to the BR style of chat logs that they have, and it does replace the previous one, which was the blue bars on the right side. The positives to this is that it is a little bit larger. It's a little bit easier to navigate, although it does take a second to get used to it. All of the images are much bigger now and are according to what you're going to get. So you're going to have your job show up, specifically like the job image, but again, it's bigger, it sticks out, it pops out a little bit nicer. And when you collect the resources from your villagers, all of those items pop up a little bit bigger as well, and even show you the rarity that you're going to receive when it comes to those items. So this fix doesn't look the greatest in comparison to the previous one, but it is definitely a little bit easier now to navigate. Now, the first thing that you guys want to do in order to get an unlimited amount of power cell that once again they did not really teach you guys in yesterday's update is having two separate villages or splitting your villagers up on different jobs. Now there's two jobs that will allow you to get an unlimited amount of power cell. That first one is going to be in one village or on 3 or 4 of your villagers. You want to make sure that they are on the brand new compost job. The reason why you would have them on this is, as you guys can see, you can get biomass from these villagers. So I have 3 or 4 villagers in this village alone, simply getting me biomass to ensure that I'm able to get half of the ingredients for a single power cell, and I don't have to do any work. Now, as you guys probably could have guessed, I do have a second village of 5 villagers that are all working on getting me copper bars and glass. Now, although the copper bars don't give me much because I don't really need them, your villagers, when they're on the metal smelting job, will work to get you glass, which is half of the ingredients needed in order to make yourself some power cells. So with the brand new addition of vehicles and aircrafts, you're able to have one village or 5 villagers working on glass for you, while the other 5 in another village are working on biomass, which will give you an infinite amount of power cell. It is still pretty slow, but at the end of the day, you don't have to do any of the work yourself. Now, another update that we got was magnet loot. And what I mean by that is when you would actually break something in the game, the loot would actually kind of magnetize to your body a little bit easier. So you wouldn't actually have to pick things up or run over them in order to get them. So now when you break a tree, all of that log or all of those woods will go directly into your inventory. I'm not entirely sure why, but it does seem like they disabled this or they toned this down a ton. So now it reverted right back to how it was previous to this update. I know a lot of people are probably wondering what's going on with this. I have to imagine there may have been a bug or an issue with this, and this is something that they're working on. So hopefully they bring the magnet update back. That way all of this loot goes directly to our inventory. Now, they didn't tell us much about the brand new updates to your aircrafts, but when you guys create the wrench, which is now the most important thing in the game, you could actually modify your thrusters to attach to your steering wheel. So no activation switch needed. Every single one of my thrusters on this backside is set to channel number 1. On the bottom right, you guys can see I have channel number 1, 2, and 3 assigned to my keybinds so that I can go ahead and use them to work with my thrusters. Now, although I'm not using this as far as going forward or backwards with my steering wheel, using these thrusters is now possible thanks to the wrench edition. So my left side thrusters, which turn me right, are assigned to channel 2. My right side thrusters that are turning me left are assigned to channel 3. And now when I sit in a steering wheel, even if it's not directly connected at the bottom near the thrusters and it's elevated, I can actually use those keybinds in the bottom right corner to work and use whichever side thrusters that I want, and even these back thrusters to propel myself forward. So now aircrafts are even better now in this game, as not only did they fix the issue where you completely fall off, although it will appear that way, you never actually do fall off, but they did also fix it to where now you can turn just by pressing a button on your one hand rather than needing to sit there and constantly choose different activation switches while also going ahead and breaking items to drop certain switches. Now, I really wish that they would have told us what you guys need in order to get a ton of biomass, but if you guys didn't know, the only answer right now is going to be bones. You guys can use leftover food if you guys have an influx of it that you're not using. You guys could also use shells, you guys could use claws, you could use brute scales, but again, most of that stuff is a waste. I used a bunch of extra stuff that I had in the game, but from what it appears is that bones are not only the easiest thing or item to get in the game, but they work absolutely fantastic when it comes to actually creating some biomass. So what I recommend doing is if you have extra stuff like slurp juices that you guys don't use, you guys can go ahead and throw them inside of here as well to make this work and give you guys some extra biomass, but bones is by far the best. If I have to give you guys any sort of recommendation, I absolutely recommend to stop putting different type of items inside of this if they're not just extra items that you never will find a reason to use, or bones, as they're really the only things that should go into these areas. Because the reality is, if you guys are inside of the shore biome or the dry valley biome, skeletons are always here late at night, and not only do they drop you some skeleton bones, but they also drop you some blast powder. So having a villager nearby or having one that is following you around, give them a sword and they will handle every single one of these, giving you an unlimited amount of bones and the blast powder to throw into these areas to get an unlimited amount of biomass. Now, Epic didn't actually tell us when it comes to having more cells on your cars what it does. So what I could actually tell you guys right now is having some of these cells, the way that it works is if you have one thing of cell on your vehicle, it'll only drain one power cell. And all of these come with a default amount of this on top of these vehicles. But the very nice thing about this is while it only drains what's inside of your power cell, you could actually add additional of these engines onto here to make sure that you guys actually get more use out. So I can put this large power cell center on top, and now rather than only draining 4 batteries, when I sit inside of this, you guys can see it drains 8 total batteries. So you guys can put these all over your vehicles if you're tired of the batteries running out too fast or the power cell's not lasting very long. The more of these power centers that you put on your vehicle, the better, as you're going to get more time driving with these. And using those unlimited power cell tricks that I've given you guys, along with obviously having some that you guys can create on your own, you can make these vehicles pretty much last forever simply by adding these power cell centers on top of every single vehicle. Now, one thing to help you guys actually not go ahead and have your car flip over is adding a balloon or 2 on top of it. Depending on what vehicle you're using, thing. 2 balloons might lift it a little bit too high up, but 1 balloon will help when it comes to tipping over. Another thing that I recommend doing is anytime that something breaks on your vehicle, definitely replace it. I know that sounds extremely weird because things shouldn't break on this. I absolutely agree with every single one of you guys that they do need to fix the durability on these items so that they don't just break on the game. However, if that front bumper does break off, you guys should get out of the vehicle and replace it, as that is something that protects the rest of the vehicle. So if that goes and you don't replace it, the tires may go, and that could overall ruin your experience. If your cars do flip over, one thing that you guys can do is throw a balloon or 2 on top. That'll keep it lifted just slightly so that it actually flips back over or doesn't flip at all. Now, I see a lot of people complaining that these vehicles work a little too slow or that they don't go up hills. You guys can once again use that wrench tool onto the thrusters, and because it works directly with the steering wheel with no need of an activation switch, you guys could actually press your R button or the 1 channel, and that will still move your vehicle forward with a little bit more speed, help you guys get up those hills, and even at some points get yourself unstuck simply by going ahead and using those thrusters on the back. So this is not only going to help you go faster, but also make it a little bit harder for you to get permanently stuck in the game. Now, if you guys are a longtime supporter of mine, you knew that this was going to be inside of this video, but the grapple glitch still does work. All that you need to do this is assign yourself a bed when you guys are out in the wild. Drop every single inventory item that you have, excluding the grapples. You still want to hold those. Press the respawn button so that you die in the game and then respawn in that bed that you just placed. Once you guys did this, it all gets extremely easy from here, although they did nerf this just a teeny tiny bit. Pick up all of those items that you dropped and split everything. The main thing that you want to do here is fill up your entire inventory. That way, when you open up your backpack, your grapples are going to open up not in your inventory and drop directly on the ground. For whatever reason, because they touch the ground or because they open the backpack and it's full, these will actually go ahead and refresh back up to 30. So I had 2 or 10 total grapples. Now, when I do this glitch, I now have 30 in each place.